Welcome back. President Trump still expecting to visit Xi Jinping in China next week. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent confirmed that to me yesterday. Watch. If we are still at war with Iran, will the president move to reschedule that meeting?
He's not going to move to reschedule it, as far as I know. I have been bringing up the Chinese relationship with Iran in my meetings with the Chinese. And look, Maria, Iran was the largest state sponsor of terrorism. President Trump has made the world safe, and China has been financing them with their energy purchases, and we've been encouraging them not to.
Do you expect China to buy oil and gas from America?
I think what we are seeing with the choke point of the Strait of Hormuz, we now have record energy exports out of the U.S. The U.S. is an energy superpower. The only thing that is constraining us are the export facilities, which once again were stopped in the Biden administration. And as we create more LNG facilities, we will be able to supply the world with safe American energy. The U.S. is the big winner here, Maria.
Joining me now is the Milken Institute International Chairman, Curtis Chin. Curtis, great to see you. Welcome back. And I know you're at this year's Milken Global Conference right now. You are expecting to be having a number of guests from all over the world at that meeting in Los Angeles. What are your views about China ahead of this meeting with President Trump and Xi Jinping next week?
Well, first, good morning to you, indeed, from a nighttime Los Angeles. When it comes to the Trump-Xi meeting, I think we should all be happy that the conversation, the engagement continues. In terms of results, I really don't expect a whole lot of dynamic, big results. But just that they're meeting is a very important accomplishment right there. We have to talk to move things forward.
Well, that's a great point, Curtis. And I know that the International Monetary Fund said that Asia's economy is on solid ground right now. It will lead global growth. The U.S. is doing quite well as well. But we did have some disruption from the Iranian conflict on both economies. The agency projecting more than 7% growth in real GDP in Vietnam. Big number there. 4.4% growth seen in China and under 1% growth in Japan. Asia's Development Bank also now backing $70 billion in new energy and digital infrastructure initiatives by 2035 to connect power grids and expand electricity across Asia. Curtis, is that where you see the growth as a result of these data centers build out? I mean, you were the former U.S. ambassador to the Asian Development Bank. Where are you seeing growth in Asia right now?
Absolutely. First, at this moment in time, we cannot forget that the Middle East crisis is actually in many ways an Asian crisis, given how much is imported from the Gulf into the region. So indeed, when we look at the economies growing, but certainly slowing, worries about continued disruptions, not just to, the gasoline that we fill our cars with, but of course, Asia is also an agricultural power, so to the degree that countries like the Philippines, like Thailand, may well suffer from a slowdown in the provision of fertilizers. Them is very much on farmers and on people's minds. But indeed, as we think of the long term, Asia economic growth continues to be where it's at. Even the most recent, as you noted, IMF figures, while downgraded a little bit from prior projections, indeed, Vietnam and then India are the true growth markets. One thing I will always say to people, though, is don't forget the United States is an Asia-Pacific power, too. So as we think about the Asia-Pacific region, don't rule out the U.S. economy in terms of thinking about long-term continued growth.
Absolutely. The Treasury Secretary yesterday was joining me and talking all about the strength in the consumer right now in the U.S. I'm with Tiana this morning. And Tiana, jump in here on the impact that you have looked at with regard to this Iran war on Asia and the U.S.
Obviously, this market's sort of bifurcating, where even though Americans are paying slightly higher, it's really hitting East Asia. We've seen China be a shockingly distant ally to the Iranians, right? There is some indication, they're trying to ship some oil via train to China in a sort of unprecedented move. But for the most part, it seems like China really hasn't stepped in all too much. So my question is, 2025, Iranian imports to China unofficially made up, 12% of China's oil imports? So what happens now? We know that Treasury Secretary Bessent really wants to crack down on these teapot refineries. Is that relationship going to deteriorate?
You know, clearly when we look at the engagement between the U.S. and China, there's so many dimensions to it. And so in one hand, you might say, oh, it's going to deteriorate because of this. But on the other hand, there are still areas we should not forget where the U.S. and China can cooperate. One that I know you all know, Janine Pirro, has focused on, for example, is scam centers, these terrible scam centers, where China also, in stepping in to try and address them, they too will benefit. So even amidst all this very real disruption, there are still opportunities for engagement and to getting things done to the benefit of both China and the United States.
Absolutely, Curtis. And you mentioned the U.S. economy. Here's the Treasury Secretary with me yesterday, Scott Bessent, on the activity in the U.S. Watch this.
Maria, 45% of filers during this tax season availed themselves of at least one of those programs. So we had record refunds, and because of the modernization at the IRS, if you filed electronically, we were able to get your refund out in 21 days. So the consumer's very strong. Another aspect of the tax bill is the permanence of full expensing. So companies are coming, whether it's equipment, factory structures, they are able to write that off in a year. So we're seeing a CAPEX boom. The way a CAPEX boom works is you have a construction boom that then morphs into factory jobs. So that's very strong. And again, the consumer's very strong. We're in constant touch with the banks and the credit card companies, and they're saying that all quintiles of the distribution group is very strong.
Curtis, he's talking about the impact of the big, beautiful bill and how companies have really used these new policies, as have consumers. And we saw that during tax day. No doubt these are all issues that you'll be discussing at the Milken conference. What are you most excited about this week from the global conference?
Yeah, well, first, you know, we're missing Secretary Bessent. He was the blockbuster kickoff to last year's conference. But this year, indeed, from the administration, from Congress, but all around the world, we're having people talk about how to move forward. This year's theme at the Milken Institute Global Conference is leading in a new era. You know, clearly this world is changing. The world has changed so much, but leadership remains critical. If there's one word I'm hearing a lot so far, and remember this is just day one in terms of public sessions, is the notion of resilience. That, you know, Asian countries, the United States, clearly they have to adjust. But there is hope here. There is hope that, you know, this war truly comes to an end. And the peace, the famous Abraham Accords, you know, such an accomplishment under the U.S. president, that will continue to move forward so that every country can focus on usually what every country wants: better lives, more meaningful lives for their own people. And I think that is the focus here. Beyond the politics, getting things done.
Yeah, I love it, Curtis. Thanks so much for getting up early for us. Great to see you this morning, sir. Curtis Chin at the Milken Conference in Los Angeles.